Hello everyone, I hope this finds you well. I've been asked to share a brief thought with you during these difficult times, and I've been enjoying these verses in Mark for a week or so now, and they're from Mark chapter 6 verses 45 to 51, so I'll just read them with you. It says, "Immediately Jesus made his disciples get into the boat and go on ahead of him to Bethsaida, while he dismissed the crowd. After leaving them, he went up on a mountainside to pray. When evening came, the boat was in the middle of the lake, and he was alone on land. He saw the disciples straining at the oars because the wind was against them. About the fourth watch of the night, he went out to them, walking on the lake. He was about to pass by them, but when they saw him walking on the lake, they thought he was a ghost. They cried out because they all saw him and were terrified. Immediately he spoke to them and said, 'Take courage, it is I, don't be afraid.' Then he climbed into the boat with them, and the wind died down. They were completely amazed." These are verses in the Bible that I really enjoy reading. And verse 48 says, "He saw the disciples straining at the oars because the wind was against them." The disciples were out in the middle of the lake and didn't realise, even though they were struggling with the conditions and struggling to get to shore, that Jesus was watching them. And that just reminds me, at present, when things are tough and we are in trouble, with this coronavirus that is a worldwide pandemic, Jesus is watching us. He sees us. He sees us in our troubles. He sees us no matter what time of the day or night that we are struggling. God's eyes is always upon us. Verse 48 and into verse 49 reminds us, it says, Jesus is walking on the lake and was about to pass by the disciples in the boat. And it says they thought he was a ghost and cried out in fear. I wonder why they didn't recognize him. Maybe they didn't expect Jesus to be walking on the water. They also wonder why Jesus was going to walk by them. But it just makes me think that Jesus wants us to cry out to him. And I think, like the disciples, we need to be crying out to Jesus for help in these days that we find ourselves in, more now than ever. We need to be crying out to Jesus, crying out to God for help to deal with the pressures and the stress and the anxiety that we're living in this current time. I love Jesus' answer to them. He says, "Take courage, it is I. Don't be afraid." I don't know about you. I don't claim to be immune to any of the hassle that's going on around us in the world. I think we all are afraid at the minute. We're all living on uncertain days. But Jesus says, "Take courage, it is I. Don't be afraid." How comforting is that, to know that Jesus is saying, "Don't be afraid, that I am with you. I am there for you. I am there to be your rock. I am there, a God who is faithful and unchanging." And finally, he climbs into the boat with them, and the wind died down. It says they were completely amazed. It's my simple thought in these verses, and it's my prayer for each one of us, that these thoughts will help us and help us to remember that the Lord sees us. The Lord sees us whatever we're at. The Lord sees us. And if we cry out to him, we will hear him say, "Take courage, it is I. Don't be afraid." Keep safe.